What's up, friends? Welcome back to Rooted Wisconsin. Appreciate you for clicking another episode. Grateful to have you here. If you've got your video on, you can tell I'm starting to get a little excited about bow season, but I don't usually take it too serious until November, so we've got a couple episodes of Rooted Wisconsin before we get there. Today's is with Dan Lawrence, leader, founder, and commander-in-chief of our partner, Karouser. And really excited to share some of Dan's story because he has a couple stops that I think are really fun to hear and talk about, really helpful to hear and talk about. And we talk a lot about leadership, which I think helps everyone. When effective leaders are in place, I think that helps most things that come into contact with it. One story, though, is about his time in the military. Dan spent many years in the U.S. Air Force, and I didn't bring this up in conversation, but it's something I've thought about our service members a lot because we often think about the commitment and dedication it takes to do that, enter our be a service member and protect and serve our country. But I think there's a layer of it that goes a little bit more unnoticed. And we all know, like, you deploy, you move around the country, you actually give some of your freedom away, like I feel, to serve our country and protect our freedom, which I'm really grateful for. On top of it, though, there's this layer of commitment where if I want to quit my job tomorrow, I can, and I can find a new job. Our service members, once they sign on the dotted line for that contract, it's 4 years, it's 8 years, it's working towards 20 to retire, where they can't just up and quit if they want. And Dan hit a crossroads in his career where he was really uncomfortable with an upcoming deployment. And I'm going to let him tell the entire story. But he definitely swam upstream in that instance. And the results were sad and surprising and growth-filled and a bunch of different things. And like I said, I'm going to let him tell the story. But that's a layer of commitment that goes unnoticed, where civilians, most of us can quit our job tomorrow, start a new one, find a different one, and it'll be fine. Our service members don't always have that opportunity. And remember, sometimes it's life and death. It's pretty wild when you get to that layer of commitment. So there's appreciation that lives there that is good to share. And his story specifically is unique, I guess I would say. Listen to the whole episode to check it out. We talk about that. We talk about leadership. Of course, we talk about starting Karouser a little bit and a whole lot more. As always, a huge shout out to our sponsor, Karouser. They keep these episodes coming. So make sure you click like on their Instagram, follow, Facebook, wherever you are on socials. And once you listen to this whole episode, you dig Dan's story, you say, I want to try Karouser, we've got a discount code for you, RW20. RW20 for 20% off anything on the Karouser store. That's active until Halloween. So take advantage. Check out the episode. Try out Karouser RW20 for 20% off your Karouser orders from now until Halloween. Without further ado, though, let's hear Dan's story. Dan Lawrence.
As the years have passed, so have the ways. We've tried to lift our neighbors. Where did the love go? Where did the talk end? We need some help to make this better again.
A lot of things I'm excited to talk about today.
Absolutely.
Man. It's been nice getting to know you. When you guys reached out, there's obviously this, anytime you enter into a new engagement, there's this feeling out period.
100%.
And I know you and I are cut from a similar cloth where relational aspects of things matter a lot.
Yep.
And we probably both entered into the scenario feeling each other out, man, like what's going to happen? What are we going to do? And I'm really excited about where it's developed to. Getting one of the main things that it was just a breath of fresh air, and ultimately why I decided to just come all in with you was golfing and then going to dinner and getting to know, Dan Lawrence, the person, not the business owner, not the aspirational stuff that you have, but just you in general. And I shared this with you last night, but it's probably a cool place to start. I think one thing that's really telling about a lot of people is how people they lead follow them. And I think that's really telling watching you in your environment, man, with your people and how they respect you, follow you, believe in what you do. And that was the same thing that I got the day from golfing and going out to dinner. Is I guess that the brass tacks of it is just the authenticity of it, which I really appreciate. And what do you feel about that? Where does that authenticity come from? Has it always been that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think so. I realized at a young age, like we all struggle.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're all human. And there's masks that we put on. And there's different roles we play. Like, right, you're a son, you're a brother, you're a husband, you're a worker, right? You're a friend. And there's different masks that we all put on, and we all have struggles, right? And there's, especially in today's day and age, there's so much focus on division and fighting against one another, but really realizing that as we all share the same human condition. And some people are better at masking it than others, and some people are better at switching roles or playing roles than others. But what I realize is I don't want to waste time. And if I'm putting on a facade, and I know there's times for it, but I really want deep personal relations. Like, let's get in the mud. Let me show you. Like, I'm messed up, man. Like, I'm broken. Like, I got a lot of flaws. Like, I'm not going to waste energy. It's kind of like I look at like lies only lead to more lies typically, right? And so and the energy, what lie did I tell? How do I keep my story together? How do I not get caught, right? And there's just so much energy that's wasted and time that's wasted and missed opportunities, right? Because you're either believing someone else's lie or you're worried about telling your own lie. But versus just like, hey, what if we just say, hey, this is me. This is my stuff. Same as probably your stuff or on a similar scale. Why don't we stop wasting time and let's just be real with one another? Because then you can solve problems so much faster, right? You can make connections so much faster. And so I really have had that, and I always said when I was younger, I was like, people either love me or hate me. I'm a very polarizing individual because I just really don't have time for the BS. Like, no, man, I'm broken, I got issues.
Yeah.
Here they are. Here's where I'm weak. Here's what I'm not so good at, here's what I need help with, but here's where I'm really strong, and I feel like when you're open and honest, people are like, well, yeah, I'm struggling too. Then their walls can come down, right? And then we can have a real, like we talked about, a relationship. Yep. How do you build that long-term relationship, a meaningful, impactful long-term relationship?
Yeah.
Because we only have so many hours in a day, and you can't be that deep with every human being you meet. Right. So there's a time challenge there. So I feel like too, like, okay, we're not all meant to resonate 100% with each other. Yep. So if I'm able to be authentic and take down my walls and share who I am, then I'm going to attract the people that naturally, that I'm naturally going to mesh with better. And I think it just leads to an overall more enjoyable, more adventurous life.
Yeah.
And more free. I think the freedom, like, I don't have to pretend. You don't need to pretend.
Yep.
Here we are, dude. Let's figure it out. Like, I was a terrible dad. I was a terrible dad there. Totally failed. I feel terrible about how I failed there.
Yep.
Yeah, I can relate, man. I was a terrible dad. And then, oh, you did the same thing? Okay, how can we help each other? Let's talk through that. Like, why did we fail? So I very much have believed that from a very young age, for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. That's where a lot of growth happens. And that identifying, I mean, one, that's something you've talked about. You've talked to me about that, about being one of your strengths is identifying other strengths. And I think there's a really interesting point of conversation in that I've thought of in passing, but I've never completely put the two and two together like that, where that is very true and resonates, that a lot of authenticity stems from the comfort and saying, this is me, and I've never, of course those two things connect, but I've never thought about it in that way because oftentimes, even if you don't go all the way to outright lies, there's people that, put on a show or whatever it is. And I don't know, that's often from a place of maybe lot of different reasons, right? Inferiority, whatever it might be. But it's, that when you can ultimately get to that comfort, it's like, okay, here I am, and let's do it.
From a leadership perspective, the thing that will kill, in my opinion, one of the biggest killers of an effective leader is insecurity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right? Mm-hmm. Because then they make decisions based on their own insecurity. So they won't admit failure to their team. They won't admit when we're wrong. So I ran basic training. My favorite job, it's probably my favorite job in my life is running basic training. And I've run weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks in different classes of basic training. Okay. I absolutely loved it. What blew, and you could see really bad trainers and you could see really good trainers, but and I was hard. My goal was always to be the person they least wanted to be reprimanded by, but the person they most wanted to be praised by. And basic training is a little different. Like I call basic training is a very pure leadership laboratory. Combat is the next. Combat is that is the pinnacle.
Yeah.
Combat that is where leadership is true and tested, and there is no BS. I mean, it's life or death.
No time for it.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, and so that's where it's in its purest leadership is, in my opinion, in its purest form, or the beauty of a strong leader. That's where it's going to rise and show. And I really believe basic training is a similar environment. There's still some BS that happens, with certain things. But my point with that is when I screwed up in basic training, because I make mistakes. I'm still a human being. I'm a captain at the time and I'm running basic training. I have a lot more experience. I've already been to combat. I know a lot more. I know more than any of the basics there. But I can still screw up. Mm-hmm. I can still think I saw something one of the basic trainees did, and they didn't do it, and I got on them for it. And so, I was very hard on them. But when I would make a mistake, I would sit up there in front of all of my basics and say, "I own this. I punished you guys for something I did, a mistake I made. That is not okay. So I am going to apply the same punishment to myself that I applied to you." And so then I would just go out there and I'd do 50 push-ups, and I would do the 50 push-ups. People are afraid to admit they're wrong. A lot of leaders are afraid to admit they're wrong because they feel like, because they're insecure with who they are. And so they think, if I admit that I'm wrong, that's going to make me a weaker leader. No. That's how you build trust.
It's a stronger leader.
That's how because you're a human being. You're going to make a bad decision. And a lot of times you don't know as a leader, you don't know what the right decision is.
Yeah.
You're picking what you think is the best course of action at that point in time. And you got to be able to, if it's the wrong course, you got to be able to switch course. You got to be able, that was a bad decision. Mm-hmm. We're moving on. Let's switch gears. But when you're honest about your mistakes and you own your mistakes with the people that you're leading, it doesn't make them go, "Oh, he doesn't really know. I'm not sure I can follow that person." It has the opposite effect. He's like, "Hey, he's owning his stuff. He's being accountable.
Yep.
If he can hold himself accountable, I can hold myself accountable. I actually trust him more because he's willing to admit when he's wrong. Not just admit when he's wrong. He's willing to own it. Mm-hmm. And he's not full of crap. Mm-hmm. What he says to me when he's talking to me, he lives it. And that breeds that what you see, I think, in my team, because there's so much trust. And they know that. I've made so many mistakes, and they know that. And they know that I'll own my mistakes. And they know they'll hear from me when they make a mistake too. But at the same time, it's all like, okay, all right, how do we move on? Let's solve it. Let's learn from it. Let's fix it, and let's go on. But it builds that trust. Mm-hmm. And I think that insecurity, like I said, is probably the biggest pitfall to leadership, or where you find weakest leaders. It's going to be in that insecurity piece.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then there's a couple layers to that, where it could be insecurity about your own ideas, or it could be insecurity even about like those people just talking a little bit of shit about you because you're wrong. Well, who cares? Whatever.
Right.
Sure, I was wrong. Go talk about it. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Let me tell you another comment. I was more wrong.
Yeah, right.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. Oh, you think that was bad? Yeah. I got way worse than that. Absolutely.
I love that. Yeah. So I think that paired with another thing that I've noticed is it can really wrap up your leadership. The other thing I've noticed is your keen ability and willingness to make a decision and say, this is how it is, and move forward with it. And you do that very quickly. And I think, I hope you'll share the story from your military time of where you voiced your opinion about some things that you thought were going to go wrong. And it was an unpopular opinion, and you ended up getting what I don't know what the military is. Someone overrode your decision and said, this is how we're going to do. Yeah. And can you tell that story? And then can you encapsulate how I'm guessing this is me presuming that that ingrained that in you even more, that you're willing to say, this is a hill that I'm going to die on because this matters. I'm right. Yeah.
It's funny because there's actually a couple different questions there, a couple different places to go. So the story to share is a very long one, and you've heard it before. I've never shared it. I mean, everyone processes trauma differently, right? Especially in combat. And so a very common way is to not talk about it, keep it inside. I've always been, again, just with who I am, like, no, here's what went down. Like and it helps me to share and to talk about it. And so I like to preface kind of, everyone deals with the grief, everyone deals with trauma in a little bit different manner.
So you've always been pretty open with it. You've always been pretty open. Okay, good.
Yep, totally. Now, there was an article I did, and I spoke about it when I went to Squadron Officer School after coming back from my last deployment from Afghanistan. And I deployed twice, once in 2003, once in 2004, both to Kandahar in Afghanistan. I was a combat search and rescue pilot with the HH-60 platform, the Black Hawk. It's very interesting because we're trained. The whole reason we exist as a unit is to rescue downed fighter pilots or down pilots in general. But yeah, you have about a 4-hour window. You got about a 4-hour window. If a pilot goes down, like there was an F-117 pilot that was shot down in Kosovo, my squadron commander in pilot training, Chad Franks, who ended up becoming a general, actually rescued that F-117 pilot with, as a 60 pilot for the Air Force Special Forces. If you get to those pilots within 4 hours, you have a good likelihood of bringing them home. If you don't get to them within 4 hours, you're probably not going to get to them. So we have a very niche mission, very, very specific, very surgical mission. Well, the problem with that is when we have the air dominance that we have, like in Desert Storm, I mean, we didn't have a ton of down pilots when you think about Desert Storm, or just any of the conflicts that we've had. There's not a lot of down pilots. We had the F-117, and I think there was an F-16 guy. You hear a couple, there's an F-18 guy, and I know we picked some guys up, I think during OIF, not me, but my squadron. But it's like, imagine you're playing for an NFL football team like the Packers, and all you do is practice. You're so niche. Your role is so niche. If you're dominating, like you never need the punter. Let's just say you score on every single drive. You never punt. That was our unit. We're punters, right? We're there for a very niche, a very, very real, very powerful, very important mission. When someone goes down, if no one goes down, there's nothing to do, right? There's very little to do. And so you train and train and train, and you're training at that elite level, but you never get to apply your trade. You never get to practice. You never actually get to kick in a game, and so that was kind of what I say is coming into the community. That was a prevailing pressure that existed on the community. Like this need to, we want to be a part. Like all this is happening. 9/11's happened. We want to defend our country. That's why we signed up. We want to be in the game. We want to be helping. And so Afghanistan, OEF opened up so many opportunities for our unit because there was so much going on. Our unit was boots on the ground very, very early in the conflict. And we were doing a lot of guys getting silver stars left and right, really crazy missions, like really intense missions, really meaningful missions, right? And wow, we're a part of the game. We're in it and we're excelling. Like we're a great punter. Like this is, and so the whole community, see, we are important. Like you can see us now. As the conflict went on, again, we're more and more control. And so then we start taking on different missions that we weren't training for. And so it created, so when we would stateside, like we're spinning up to go to Afghanistan, all of my training sorties are fighting radar threats, trying to defeat, these radar guided surface to air missiles. There's no functioning radar in Afghanistan. I don't have a Roland chasing me down would eat a helicopter alive. It doesn't exist. Yep. And we're flying at night. We're not flying during the day. So just the threats that we're fighting and training didn't equate to the threats that the missions we were taking, we were very different than what we were trained to. So we ended up doing a lot of medevac mission. Essentially, the worst, it was ironically, the Army helicopter pilots probably have thousands of hours of helicopter time because they're warrant officer program. They do things differently. We're doing all these additional duties. Our primary job isn't necessarily flying, which was eye-opening for me and very frustrating. Yeah, it's crazy. It's truly crazy. So I'm a young co-pilot. Maybe I have 500 hours. And I'm in the left, I'm in the left seat. The pilot, the AC is in the right seat, and maybe he has 1,500 hours. Whereas an Army pilot, they got 5,000 in one seat, maybe 10,000 in the other seat. The missions they're saying we're not going to go on, we're raising our hand for. Like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. You got 15,000 hours of combined time versus 1,500 hours of combined time. They're saying no. Why are we saying yes? And when combat search and rescue, you have to launch right now. You have 4 hours. Mm-hmm. You got to launch. So literally, when we get a call, I'm in my tent. We're all in our tent. We're doing whatever we're doing. We're on call, so we're in uniform. We're waiting, and a call comes in. The aircraft commander runs to the TOC, the Tactical Operations Center. They're getting debriefed on what the mission is. I grab my shit and I'm running to the helicopter. I go through all the checks. I get the helicopter. I got the blades. I got the engines running. I got the blades turning. I got everything ready to go. Pilot jumps in. I'm taxiing us. The PJ, the pararescue PJs are in the back. We got the gunner, the flight engineer. They're on the back. Aircraft's all dialed in, and we're getting off the ground. I have no idea why we've launched.
And you don't even know why you went. That's
no clue.
Wild, man.
No clue.
It's crazy.
I have no clue where we're going. I have no clue why we're going. I have no clue what we're doing. I have no clue.
And you're captain at this time?
I'm a captain, but I'm a co-pilot at this time. And so then as we take off and we get en route, the aircraft commander's putting the route in the system, and so I'm just kind of flying, and then he back briefs us all on what's going on and what we're doing as we're flying. And so that's how we're trained. Well, for a 4-hour window, that's important. When you're trying to get a down pilot and you got 4 hours, that's really, really important. If it's a medevac mission, you don't need to do that. There are cases where you get troops in contact. It might still be that sort of situation. But at this point in time, when I was there in Afghanistan, it was a lot of winning the hearts and minds. So we were doing a lot of picking up local Afghanis. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a bad...
Winning the hearts and the minds of the locals,
correct.
You're saying. Got it.
Yeah, they have there was a conflict, and maybe, in the one mission, the mission that we launched on, where we lost a helicopter and lost someone, was a local Afghani national. They were having their first election, which is a big deal. Or maybe it was their second. Anyway, it was a big deal. And they had a local Afghani was hired by the UN to be security forces for the people collecting the votes, so the Taliban and whatnot wouldn't kill him. Mm-hmm. The security officer accidentally discharged his weapon and shot the guy he's supposed to be protecting.
On accident.
In the middle of the frickin' mountains. And by the way, the worst place on the planet for our helicopter to be is Afghanistan. I mean, there's maybe Korea. It would be worse. But I mean, from everything about it is designed to destroy our helicopter. It's just not. We are underpowered. Our aircraft was designed to fly at a max combat build down at 16,825 pounds. That's what the airframe is rated for, engineered for. We were operating at 22,000 pounds gross operating rate all the time on every mission. We'd come back and there'd be structural cracks in the frame. They'd have to take them to depot to completely have them resurfaced. So 6,000 pounds over what the aircraft was designed for. Consistently.
That's crazy.
Consistently. Yeah. So we wouldn't have, at that density altitude, the temperatures, the high altitudes, the dust, we didn't have power. So we're essentially, we're not really landing. We're controlled crashing. It's not a good recipe, right? You don't have a lot of ounce. And that's the other thing too. You're supposed to have escape routes, and you just don't have them up in the mountains. You don't have the power for it. You're browning out at crazy high altitudes. The whole point of all that is we didn't train.
Yep.
We weren't training for all that. This is what we're going into. And so we were applying our tactics to a mission that didn't require those tactics. And we were very good at them, but they weren't necessary. What we really needed to be doing was taking a step back and say, whoa. What risk are we? What's the mission? Are we willing to risk 2 helicopters and 6 souls on board of each helicopter? Are we willing to risk 12 human lives for this mission? Who are we saving? What are we saving them for? Can we wait? Because a lot of those missions, the Army was saying, we can wait. They'll be fine. They'll make it till the morning. Bring in Chinooks, CH-47s, they got power for days. For days. They don't have any of the problems that we have. And they're just saying, hey, we're going to wait. We'll get them in the morning. okay, why aren't we saying that? Right? But we're like, no, we got these. We'll go. And after my first tour, we came close. We had some real problems. And I was like, what are we doing? As a leader, I'm thinking, one, we're not training the right way for this mission. One, it's a different mission. We should be training differently. We don't need to be launching in alert mode. If it's a downed U.S. pilot or we got troops in contact, okay, all day. If it's a local Afghani, it's a winning the hearts and minds, or it's someone that's stabilized, there's no conflict. Even if it's an Army guy or a Marine, hey, he's stable, or he's here. He can be. The Army's saying they'll get him tomorrow, and they have a confidence level that he's going to be okay. Okay, we can accept that too, right? We don't necessarily. There might be situations where we have to go, but most of the missions we don't. And if we're going to go, let's take our time, slow things down. Let's get everyone on board. Let's really think through how we're going to do this. Don't apply this. We got to get them in 4 hours mentality. And then, okay, high altitude hovers in brownout conditions. It's a different animal. We should not have spent any time training for radar threats because they were none. So really just after my first time, I'm like, and I was talking to a lot of the guys that were former Army pilots that are now Air Force pilots. And they're like, dude, this is insane. What we're doing is insane. And I'm like, yeah, I feel it. Like I'm a young co-pilot.
Yeah.
I'm scared shitless. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not trained for this, and I'm about to die. Or we could die. Like I could sense like this is scary shit. And so we weren't getting shot at. I mean, people would shoot at us, but I mean there was no directed fire. We're at night, we're at low level. I mean, they couldn't see. They're shooting at sound most of the time. So for me, now there were other missions after me that I know that. And before me, we had aircraft take rounds and stuff like that. But the time I was there, we weren't experiencing that. So we'd get fired upon, but it wasn't anything it was not like I was ever really worried. Ooh, we almost got hit there. That wasn't the threat when I was there.
It was self-induced risk you were worried about.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so when I'm talking to these other Army pilots that are all like, dude, this is insane. Like, I cannot believe we should not be doing this. And I'm like, so I'm looking, and again, I'm thinking kind of naive in a sense that I'm an officer. Before I'm a pilot, I'm an officer. I'm a leader. I'm responsible for the lives on this aircraft. I'm responsible for this aircraft, multi-million-dollar government asset. And I'm responsible for, more importantly, I'm responsible for all these lives on board, these guys that I've lived with, that I train with. And they're looking to me to lead them. And I have a responsibility to do right by them and to lead them. If I'm going to take them into harm's way, it better be for freaking good reason. When we better be in the best position to win. If we're not, what the hell am I doing? Why am I there? And what has happened, and this happens everywhere, it's a corporation at the end of the day. It's a big government. It's a big government corporation. People start worrying more about their careers, how they get promoted, how they move up the ranks. Squeaky wheels don't move up the ranks, right? They just don't. And so, but when I came back, I'm like, hey, we can make this better. We can do this. We need to change our spin-up training. We need to change this. We need to do this. We're operating in a different mission. We're operating in a different environment. We can do better, and we can protect our people, and we can still do a mission. We can still be important, but in a way that's more responsible and makes more sense for our guys, our guys and girls that we're leading. And so I came back at all these ideas, and I'm sharing all these ideas with leadership, and I'm like, we need to, and completely deaf ears. And again, it's that institutionalization, right? Just, this is the way we've always done it. This is the way we're going to keep doing it. Who are you, young co-pilot? You have 500 hours. You don't know shit. Don't tell, and that pervasive mentality, prevented us from really flexing. We needed to flex. We needed to adapt. We needed to change to the environment. And we didn't, honestly, in my estimation, because of political reasons or career political reasons, right? It's just, or maybe it was too much work, or I don't know. There's a lot of reasons, but I kept saying, hey, we need to change our spin-up program. And I'm like, I'll do the work. You don't need to do anything. I'll do the work. I'll take this on. And I was just poo-pooed. And so then we go to our next deployment. I was paired with a pilot initially that I didn't trust their skills as a pilot. And I'm like, and then we go to spin up training and it's all the same shit. I'm going to go to the range and I'm going to try to defeat radar threats. It's not what's going to kill me over there. You know, high altitude hovers in brownout conditions, brownout landings, going on missions I shouldn't, trying to land in places I shouldn't. That's what's going to kill me. That's what we need to be training for. What are we going to say no to? I want to know what we're really going to say no to. We should be saying no to a lot of these missions that we're taking. And I'm like, I got to the point where I just felt so convicted. I'm like, we are going to lose a helicopter. We're going to crash. We're going to kill someone because we're so irresponsible with how we're doing this. And I go, as an officer, as a leader, I can't allow that. I know that as a captain, as a young captain, I only have so much power, right? Which is very little. But I need to be able to look myself in the mirror. If something goes wrong, I need to be able to say that I tried to stop it. I tried. And so I actually got to the point, and I didn't sleep. I didn't really eat for like a week because I was so, like, I cannot deploy. I cannot go on this deployment. And so I went in, after about a week, I went in and I talked to the squadron commander was deployed. So I went and talked to the deputy commander. And I said, I'm turning in my wings. I'm done. I'm not deploying. I'm not flying anymore. I cannot be a part of this. And he's like, whoa, you know, what
Which
do
is
you
a
mean?
wild conversation to have, right? Like, that's a wild thing to go up to. Nobody does that.
Nobody does that.
Yeah.
Nobody does that. I had no idea. That's why I couldn't sleep. Why I couldn't eat. Are they gonna dishonorably discharge me? Okay, you're gonna go be a security forces guy, or we're gonna find the worst job in the military we can throw you. You're gonna be in, freaking Iceland. No, Iceland's great. You're gonna be in Greenland, or you're gonna be stuck somewhere where, we're just gonna, I had no idea what was I mean, from my perspective at that time, my life is over. Like, I've worked my whole life to become a pilot. I've worked my whole life to get to this point, and I'm at the pinnacle. We're in the elite. I am on the mountaintop. These are some of the most elite. There's more elite, but we're on that area of ability. There's very few people that can do what we do, and I've made it. That's my dream, my whole life, and now I'm just turning that in. Mm-hmm. Like, really, I'm going to do this. I'm going to blow my life up over this. And as a leader, yes, that's what being a leader sometimes means. And so I saw it, and he's like, and the whole meeting just went. I was totally taken aback by how the meeting went, because I'm expecting not to get dragged out in cuss, but I'm just thinking, oh man, the world's going to come crashing down. And I learned something really leadership-wise really important here, but the commander looks at me, the deputy commander looks at me, and goes, what do I got to do to make you stay? I'm like, of all the scenarios I played out in my head, that was not one of them. And I'm like, what? He's like, because he goes, well, let me, he goes, why are you saying this? Why are you coming here? Like, and I just laid out everything I just told you. I said, and I told him point blank, and they had the executive officer there taking notes. I said, sir, we are going to crash a helicopter and we're going to kill someone for no reason. That's what's going to happen. And I go, I've tried to change it. I've tried to echo my sentiments. There's other people that feel this way. This is not out of left field. There's sound reason here. You guys are not listening. We are not ready. We're still going to take missions we shouldn't take. We're going to kill someone. We have to change the way we're doing things. And I said, as it is today, I cannot be a part of it. I cannot, as an officer, I cannot sign on to this any longer. So I'm out. And that's when he said, okay, well, I hear you. Changing all the things that I want to change is way harder for him than just, Dan, what can I do for you to make you stay? And I was like, mind blown.
And that's the leadership lesson you're talking about that you got there, like how he evaluated that?
Yeah, I think most people take the path of least resistance. Mm-hmm. When you see bad leadership, or you see bad organizations, or you see things, it's because they don't want to do the hard thing when they could be risking their career, And a lot of times what happens when you're really good at what you do a lot of times is your reward is getting more work.
Yep. All the time.
Right? Oh, you handled that great. I got another problem. Here, take this. And that's what was happening to me too, is I was doing a really good job in the things I was doing. So they just kept putting more work on me. And I kind of took an office space mentality. I'm like, whoa. Shouldn't it, I'm okay working. I have no problem working hard. But if all you're going to do is keep stacking more stuff on me, I'm watching people next to me that aren't working so hard, having a lot easier life. I'm like, the hell am I doing?
You're feeling all these feelings. You're seeing all these things that you don't have trust or faith in the person making the decision that controls the outcome.
Right. Absolutely. So at some point in time, like, I'm an idiot. Like, if I see all this, why am I willingly being a participant in this?
Yep.
So I told him, I honestly, sir, I was not expecting this response. Can I have 24 hours? I want to talk to my family. I want to talk to some people I trust. And then can I come back to you in 24 hours? He said, yeah, absolutely. So, I talked to my family, talked to people that I trust in the community. And so I was like, okay, first, so I was on the lead bird. Halo 4-1 was the lead bird I was slated to be on. The aircraft commander in Halo 4-2 was my best friend. And I'm not using names in any of these stories intentionally. He's my best friend. He was actually my best man at my wedding. I trusted him with my life. He was the aircraft commander. And I'm like, so first thing is I'm not flying on that bird. I will only deploy with this guy as my aircraft commander. That's the only way I deploy, is if I am his co-pilot. That's it. And he's like, okay, no problem. Makes that change. I said, I'm done with deploying. I'm done with fighting this version of war, whatever we want to call what we're doing. I'm done with it. So I want to go. At the time, we had there was a base up in Reykjavik, Iceland. I'm like, you know what? It's a good place. It was a great base. There's a lot of really cool. You just learned you had a lot of cool different experiences, and you learned a lot of water work. And I hadn't done any really water work with the helicopter. I'm like, I want to go to Reykjavik. So I need to really be removed from the deployment cycle that we're on and the war, the way we're fighting this war. I need to be out of it. And I tried. I'm like, I really want to go in the reserves now. I'm kind of done acting because it really had killed my love of flying. Kind of died in Afghanistan, honestly. And so I was kind of feeling, well, maybe I just need to get out, and I was single at the time. I saw what married families went through. I'm like, I just don't want to put my future wife, I don't want to put her through that. I don't want to put my kids through this. So I was like, maybe I just need to get out. Like, 'cause family is important to me. I want to start a family, but I don't want them going through this. And so I'd ask, he goes, well, I don't know if I can get you out because you have I had a 10-year commitment.
Yeah.
And I'd only been in, I graduated 2000, so I'd only been in 4 years at this point. I still have 6 years on my commitment. It's a lot of money to train a pilot and go through everything that we've went through. And so he's like, I don't think I can do that. He goes, I can definitely get you. He goes, you do this tour, we'll get you to Iceland. We'll do the PCS for you to Iceland. You'll fly with the aircraft commander of your choice. And he goes, okay. And he goes, will that solve the problem? I said, okay, I'll go.
And he got you to balance the weight of everything you wanted to get ultimately to squash the issue.
Right. Yeah. He took the path of least resistance to make the issue go away. 100%. Yes. Okay. And now whether or not he believed, me, what I was saying, I don't, whatever he believed or thought, obviously the biggest thing, especially because he's deputy commander, so now there's a problem. The squadron commander's not there. So it's really like, there's that part of it too. Like, okay, how do I just maybe push this off to where maybe the squadron commander, when he gets back,
sure,
let me just kick this can down the road a little bit. So there could have been a little bit of that too, but it was by far, now he doesn't have to go to the base commander, the wing commander to say, hey, I got a pilot that's turning in his wings. And then he has to answer all the questions. Why? Because then he has to say, then they got to talk to me. Mm-hmm. Well, here's why. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you what we're doing. All of a sudden now we got a spotlight on us that maybe we don't want. Mm-hmm. We don't want us, we want to keep our facade.
Yep, absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So that's what got me to say and go on the second deployment. When we got there, we do a kind of a mock. You do a mock spin up or a mock, like you get a fake call in is practice, right? Yeah. Fake call comes in, we spin up, I go into the helicopter, we do the whole gambit, and then we come in and debrief everything and just make sure we got, before we go live, make sure that the crews or everyone's got everything down. And the mission we launched on in that mock thing was, it was a local Afghani. And I'll give you a backstory. There was a mission. I wasn't on this mission. We had guys flew a 12-hour mission for a local Afghani woman who at the end of the day was constipated. We risked 2 helicopters, 12 lives, spent all that gas for a constipated woman. I'm like, ugh. They weren't all that bad. That was one case where and there's I won't go into the litany of reasons of how that happens. There's things on the ground that drive some of these, that they make things sound bigger. Like we didn't know when we launched that it was just a constipated woman. Yep. They made it sound, because they just want to get the problem. They kind of want to move the thing off their plate, right? Yep. So if I make it sound worse, let me get this out of here. Then, that was some of the stuff. But we were learning that we knew we couldn't trust everything that was coming down. Mm-hmm. So let's be a little bit smarter, right? Let's be a little bit. So anyway, on this mock-up, we had launched again. It was for a kind of a local Afghani, I think, or it was for a wounded person that would have made it through the night. They were going to live anyway in the scenario. And the place that we landed on was so high, and I'm like looking at the numbers. I'm like, we don't have the power for that landing. Like, what was our thought process? Because again, I was the co-pilot. I wasn't there plotting out the mission or anything. I go, what was our thought process? How are we landing? And we don't have the power. So no, it would have been what I'll call a controlled crash, essentially. So if the landing goes perfectly, fine, you're going to be okay. It was on a kind of a cliff, so the way you can't take off, you don't have the power. You have a power to kind of lift and drive yourself off the edge of the cliff. Just drive off the cliff and then gain your airspeed to go. That was it.
It's comforting.
That was our plan. And I'm like, what in the are we doing? Why are we launching on that mission? We have no business. Again, a CH-47, down, up, out, easy, And so we actually had a huge fight. There was a huge. I was standing up. I was aggressively fighting majors and senior NCOs. And when I remember, there's a line from one of the NCOs. He's like, "Well, my sword's getting rusty," saying we need to keep fighting the fight, keep our sword sharp. Like, your sword being rusty is a stupid reason to die, man. Mm-hmm. That's not the right reason to die. There's a balance that needs to be struck here. And it got so heated that actually the flight commander dismissed everyone. It was just me and my aircraft commander and the flight lead, which was a new flight lead, by the way. It was not the original flight lead that I said I would not fly with. So they actually got a different pilot in, which was good. And he's a great dude and a great pilot. But again, there was just that, this is how we do business, right? There's just that pervasive, this is the way we've done things. We don't want to rock the boat. This is how we're going to do things. You just need to listen. You need to follow. I'm a fucking officer. I got to lead. At some point, I got to lead. And if my everything in my being is telling me this is wrong, I'm not just going to stay quiet. Mm-hmm. I'm going to fight. And so kind of got hashed out. At any rate, literally a couple weeks later, we launched on a mission. Same, and it was all the things we were in this, it's all mountains, and there's just a big bowl. And we do what's called a high-low recon. So you do a high recon, and this should take 15 minutes, 30 minutes at the absolute max is what it should take. You do a high recon, because every landing is different in a helicopter. Flying a helicopter is so much more difficult than flying an airplane. It's just crazy. Because conditions change, every landing's different, every takeoff's different. You got to recalculate everything every single time. So you do a high recon, you're circling, you're looking for escape routes, you're looking for different obstacles, you're looking for the right approach angle in. Am I going to do a steep approach? Can I do a shallow approach? You're looking at all these different factors. And then, okay, I think we have a plan from a high recon. Then you drop down, get closer to the ground, do a low recon. Okay, how much slope is on the LZ? Are we going to have a brownout condition in the LZ? Just again, escape angles, just reevaluating everything, where the wind's coming out of. I want to make sure I'm coming into the wind. And now if I come in, can I get out? How am I going to get out? and all of that stuff. It took us an hour, a full hour, 2 aircraft circling to figure out how we were going to get in there. There was no way in there. There was one riverbed that was an escape, potential escape, but it was just, we should never have tried to land. And it was for that local Afghani, that security detail accidentally shot him in the arm, who survived to the morning, by the way. So we didn't need to launch. So we do the high-low recon, and flight lead has a plan. This is an interesting detail. Typically I was in the second bird. So typically 2 is the bird that would go in. And there's a small detail. It's interesting how there's little details. Usually the PJs bring blood, because the guy's bleeding out, so they got to do blood transfusions and stuff like that. So for whatever reason, and I don't know what happened in the PJ with the PJs or how it happened, but somehow all the blood ended up on the lead bird. So they had to go in, which again is not how we typically operate. Not that it necessarily matters per se, but it's just an interesting detail. It should have been us going, should have been the second Halo 4-2 should have been the one going in, but we didn't have the blood. And that kind of came out through our high-low recon. Like, oh, where's the blood? Oh, shoot. Okay, well, lead, you got to go. And so lead started coming in, and this is everything. They brown out. I mean, at high altitude, 200 feet or plus. In a brownout, essentially you're flying in a ping pong ball. You have no frame of reference. You can't, your body's telling you you're swaying to the right or you're sinking, but you're not. You're doing the opposite. But so you get spatially disoriented. So you'll do things. That's how a lot of people die. You see people die, they don't have instrument training. It's because they get spatially disoriented. Well, when you're in a brownout, you're in full spatial disorientation. You can't see anything. So you have to fly totally. You got a little 6x6 window. It's like a computer. It's a crosshairs, a circle, and a square. One's giving you your position, one's giving you your velocity, one's giving you your acceleration. If you got them all stacked on top of each other, you're not moving. You're staying in the same place. But you could be, your velocity could be moving one way, and then the circle could be rapidly going back the other way because you're changing your acceleration. And it's a different way to fly, to try to fly off a 6x6, and it's an infrared screen. So it's you got to practice. And if you're not used to it, and again, you don't want to land that way. It's not designed to land that way. But that's what they got browned out really bad, and they hit the side of the mountain, and they rolled down over 1,000 feet. The helicopter rolled. So now we spent we did 2 air refuelings, 2 ground refuelings. I was in the seat for 14 hours. It was a 14-hour. I was in the seat for 14 straight. Me and my pilot, we almost died. We tried to extract him. We knew we couldn't land. We didn't have the power to do a high altitude hover to try to, because we had a hoist that we could try to pull him out, because the PJ was critically wounded. Our flight engineer was killed on impact on Halo 4-1. 21-year-old kid. And the PJ was in serious condition. There was 2 PJs, but the other one was okay.
Is PJ parachute jumper?
Pararescuemen. Yeah.
Okay.
People don't know who they are. They're badass Air Force special operators. I mean, they go through a 2-year pipeline. 2 years before they're actually ready. The things they do, the things they can do. And there's some pararescue that came off a AC-130 gunship, and they fucking... I'll tell you what they did is just amazing. I mean, how they came in and really saved this other pararescueman's life.
The ones that had crashed.
That had crashed, yeah. Okay, so we come back around, we brown out at 200 feet. We had thrown our guns off the side of the board, off the sides of the aircraft. We had thrown all our ammunition off.
To lighten up?
Okay. To try to give us enough power. And so what happens is you have your rotor speed, and you want your rotor speed at 100% RPM. The rotor is your wings. If an airplane's wings falls off, it falls straight down. If that rotor stops spinning, we fall straight down. Those are our wings. We're not taught when you get into an underpowered situation, the rotor starts slowing down because it's trying to lift more than it's capable of lifting, so the rotor slows down. You get past a certain RPMs, you can't recover. The fall and the momentum from that fall, it's called settling with power, but you can't overcome it. And so you will crash. There's no other, you get to a point of no return there, you cannot recover. And so our engine chiclets, our engine temperatures are all redlining. So, and our rotor is dropping.
Well, you're trying to get into a place that you can do the rescue.
Right.
Okay.
So we're in a brownout condition, can't see. We're at 200 feet elevation above the mountains. Our wingman, our lead bird has just crashed. My aircraft commander's flying the aircraft, and he's trying to do the hover. And I'm holding the collective, which this is the collective. This is what essentially, it changes the angle of attack. It's what makes you go up and down in a helicopter. That's what really where you consume your power is on the collective. If he pulls any more collective, he's going to slow that rotor down. We were hitting 95% RPM. Again, I don't know. I've never been trained. How low can we go? I got lucky in the sense that I had asked that question to an old Army pilot once upon a time. And I go, because we talked about it. And I go, well, when do I know? What's the number? Because the pilots are big on numbers. What's the number? The go, no go number. And he's like, dude, it's not published. Like, there's no number out there. He goes, I would never go below 95%. Ever would I go below 95% rotor RPM. And I'm like, okay. That was the one thing that stuck in my head. And so I saw 95. I'm like, you're not fucking pulling that collective anymore. And I held it there. And then now our engines are redlining. And so we have the throttles are up here. So we can take them to lockout. What the lockout does is it gives full power, but you fry the motors. I mean, you burn them up. You give it everything you got. It's taking all the limits off it. So you pull them down and you push them forward. That will give you unlimited. That will give you all the possible power those engines can create. They will eat themselves to do it. But it'll get you out of a situation to where you can safely crash land or safely land before the engines totally give out on you. So I'm waiting. I might have to go to lockout because we're at 95. So we're maxed out. So my hands, we're trained. If the back ender tells the pilot to stop doing something, the pilot gets 3 chances to make the correction. If they don't make the correction, then the co-pilot's job is to take the controls because the pilot's spatially D'd. And that it's so powerful. The spatial disorientation is so powerful. So the back enders starts saying, stop back, stop left. Stop back, stop left. And I'm looking at the screen. I'm here. I see our velocity and our acceleration is both going backwards. And I'm like, AC, stop back, stop left. And now at this point, the back ender's screaming at the top of his lungs, stop back, stop left. And I had to make a decision, because I'm holding us at 95% RPM. Our engines are still redlining. We might have to go to contingency power. I'm not really in a place where I can take the controls, because if I take the controls and he pulls up on the collective, he's spatially D'd, he panics, now we are done. So there's a point in time, and I really had the time slowed down, and I had this thought, I trust my aircraft commander. I will die with him. He will fix this. I trust him. And to his credit, to my aircraft commander's credit, everything in his body was telling him to keep doing what he was doing. And finally, I think it was the scream of the flight engineer, the final scream of the flight engineer, and he did the right thing. He was totally spatially D'd. He just slammed the stick forward to stop the back left movement. He just went the exact opposite. He overrode everything in his body, even though it felt like the wrong thing to do, and jammed the stick forward. He knows. And after we found out that maybe we were a couple feet from our rotor impacting a mountain, I mean, the tail rotor, when that happens, it's over for us. We sheared the hoist. We had nothing left at that point. And so we made the right, we're done as far as we'll provide, but we can't get in there.
Can't get to them.
Can't get to them.
Yeah.
So now we start planning a ground exfil. And this is where, so then an AC-130 gunship's called in to provide CAS, over, and we call them Sandy, and it's overhead support. They're able to do a lot of things. Now the AC-130 gunship's a phenomenal airframe. This is where the PJ comes in. So I think there was another PJ. The PJs, I think, were actually on maybe an HC-130. So there's two 130s. So we needed to get medical help to the people that were injured because, the pilot's injured, the co-pilot's injured, the flight engineer's dead, the gunner's injured, the PJ's okay. One PJ's okay, the other PJ's critical. And so we got 2 pararescuemen on HC-130 overhead, and then there's an AC-130 that come on station to provide, and they're really there to provide support. If enemies trying to come in to capture us, they're going to keep the enemy off of us or try to keep the enemy off of us. No better support than an AC-130. I mean, what they can bring to bear. What ended up happening is that these 2 pararescuemen, I don't know if it was one or if it was just one or if it was 2, but they at night they do it's called a high altitude low opening dive out of the aircraft. It's pitch black. We had no illumination. There was no moon. We had zero illumination. It was a zero illumination night, which doesn't help anything. Night vision goggles, they still need light, some semblance of light. Otherwise they get all flickery and you can't really see anything. And they had some tools that helped them, paint the landing zone. They jumped from this HC-130, pitch black. And as the story was told back to us from our crew, like literally the guy, the PJ, he's jumping down, lands 1-2 steps, disconnects his chute, and is on his knees pulling out his medical pack right on top of the PJ that's injured. That's the precision.
Landed right on top of him.
Right on top of him. Just clicks off his parachute and starts administering first aid to stabilize him. And then now we're spending the rest of the time. We went through, we had an AC-130 that bingoed out of fuel. They had to leave, brought in an A-10. A-10 was doing overhead support for us. They ran out of fuel, brought in a F-16. Was that 1 or 2 F-16s that came in and then so we go through everything to move them, to get them out of that area to where they can be rescued. And at the end of the day, it's now sunlight. We're off goggles. I think I had 12 hours on night vision goggles on that mission. They bring in the Army. Sun's up. They bring in the Army. A Chinook comes in. Doesn't do a high-low recon. He just comes on approach, doop, drops, loads everyone up, boop, out like it was nothing. And I'm like, what in the hell are we doing here? Mm-hmm. Why are we here? So that was, and so it was a week. I had applied to get into the reserves, even though they had said it wasn't probably going to happen. I had applied, and the week before, maybe a few days before this mission, I had been denied to go into the reserves. Obviously, when there's a crash like this and there's a death, there's a big safety investigation. At the time, I'm not thinking I'm trying to blow people up. I'm not trying to blow up people's career. I'm not trying to say, hey, I told you so. I told you this was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, I'm trying to keep I got people that we still have we're still early in our deployment. We still got another, 60, 80 days that we're looking at. And I got guys with kids, young kids that are wanting, like, I'm leaving. I can't be here. Like, I got to try to keep them together. I need to get the people that are still here. I need to get them home alive, keep their heads in the game. So I'm not thinking anything political. I'm not thinking anything, let me show you, I was right, you were wrong. I'm not thinking anything like that. So when the safety board comes, I just tell them what happened with the mission. I just give them all the facts. I don't say, hey, we shouldn't have ever been on this mission. I don't bring up any of that. I told this was going to happen. I didn't do any of that because that wasn't where my headspace was. A day after that interview from the safety investigation board, I got an email from personnel saying, we've reconsidered your application for the reserves and you've been approved.
The path of least resistance.
Yep.
That's such a crazy story, man. That's such a crazy story. And, how we led into that, I think what existed in you and in that, up to that point, like you had identified this error in your process. Yep. And you were comfortable enough going against the grain of everybody else around you, your people above you, the people below you who you feel like you're representing, comfortable going against the grain and saying, this is wrong, this is what's going to happen, and here's what I'm going to do about it. I'm going to turn in my wings.
Right.
And
The strongest thing I could do. That was the
Right.
that was the most power I had.
you identified what you could do
Right.
and what you could do to the situation. So all of that speaks to that leadership capability. And then you go all through it, and then even how you end the scenario about how every single person in the world will be like, "I told your ass that this was going to
Right.
happen. Like,
Right.
we shouldn't have been doing this in the first
In
place."
Hollywood, right? It would have been there would be people arrested. Yeah.
Yeah, off with their heads.
Right,
you know?
right.
But I think the entire scenario, when you told me that, and you added some new parts this time that we didn't get a chance to talk to the first time, it speaks volumes to, I think, what we started our conversation with, what your people see in you, why you're an effective leader. Eventually, what we're going to talk about today, the fun stuff about what you're doing with Karouser.
Yeah.
All of those things, being able to identify, act upon then, and then own the result. All three of those things, I think, are what part of the pieces, are large part of the pieces that build you into the effective leader you are, right?
This is, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to be wrong. You know, I'm going to be right at times.
Right. In that scenario, you wish you were wrong.
Exactly.
You know?
But at the bottom line, whether or not I'm right or wrong isn't what carries the day. It's the trust factor. It's the authenticity factor. The people that follow me or that work for me, or one, they know that I will walk the walk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just talking. I will put myself out there. Like in my company, my main company, I've been up in the scissor lift doing the shittiest jobs we got for hours on end. I've been in there. One of my core principles of leadership is you need to be able to do any job you're asking somebody else to do. If you're not willing to do the job yourself or have done the job yourself, you have no business telling someone else to do that job. You need to know what you're telling them to do. You need to experience it. So when their life sucks and you're going to go make their life suck, you need to know how much suck they're in for. And you need to be able to look them in the eye and say, I know what I'm asking you to do. Mm-hmm. I've done it myself. Here's why. And sometimes you can say why, sometimes you can't. If I can say why, I want to tell them why. And sometimes the answer is, this sucks, and you just got to do it. Because sometimes that's the way life is. And I have so many examples of doing that, and people they're like, all right, let's run through the wall. Because it's just truth. I'm just being honest with them. And I think that's why, like, hey, I don't mind following someone who's going to be wrong, because I know that he's being truthful with me. He's not trying to lead me. If he makes a bad decision, he's not trying to screw me over. He's not trying. He's doing what he thinks is best, and he's being honest with us. Mm-hmm. And we're okay. And I think you're okay. I'm okay. I'm okay following someone that makes a mistake. Mm-hmm. I don't mind. Oh man, that sucked. Yeah, dude, I really screwed that decision. Hey, no worries, man. I got you. Like, that's going to happen. And I think that trust, knowing that, and again, knowing too that, like, no, I'm not going to burn you. If you are part of my team, as a leader, I had heard this from generals, and it pissed me off. I was furious at squadron officer school. And he's like, the general's like, he talks to you, you need to be thinking about not just what your boss wants, but you need to be thinking about what your boss's boss wants. And I go, bullshit.
Yeah, no way.
Look down. You're a leader. Your job is to take care of the people you're leading. That's your mission. That's what's important. That's where your focus is. And that's the problem with it's whether it's a military, whether it's a corporation. The people trying to climb the ladders are always looking up.
Yep.
They're only thinking about what will help them get up the ladder. They're not thinking about the people they're stepping on underneath, or whether it's helping them or hurting them. Mm-hmm. Those are the people who win wars are the little guy. That's who wins wars. Their blood, their sacrifice. Those are the guys that win. Those are the guys and girls that win wars. Mm-hmm. Period. Take care of them.
I guess how they operate the best. It's when they're empowered and supported. It's not when they're authoritarianly directed what to do.
I have no desire with my team. And one, because I have very exceptionally gifted people that work for me. But I don't want to micromanage them. Mm-hmm. I give them a vision. Here's where we're trying to get to. Surprise me with how you're going to execute that. Mm-hmm. There might be times where I know something specific and I'll give specifics. But really at this point, Like, it's just like, you guys go. When you need me to help remove an obstacle, or if you need a reinforcement, or you need a resource, tell me so I can make your job easier, so I can empower you to do your job. I don't micromanage. I don't check in. I mean, I do check in, but I'm not like on top of them. Like, what are you doing today? How have you spent your hours? Like, they work from home. I mean, honestly, they could be working 3 hours a day. I wouldn't know. But I'll eventually.
Results-based management. If they're doing what you want them to, who cares?
I'll find out. If you're not doing your job, I'll find out.
Yeah,
You know?
you've delineated the value. You know what you need that person to bring to the table,
Right?
And you afford them the opportunity to do it.
And I think I have given them what I think is the number of hours it should take, in a given work week, and we've agreed on a salary. And if you can figure out how to accomplish all the things I want you to accomplish, and you can do it in half the time, then go golf.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
As long as the job that I hired you to do is taken care of, and you found efficiencies and whatever, you should benefit from the efficiencies that you create. That was one of the things I learned in the corporate world that pissed me off. Was I saved Lockheed Martin $1 million in 6 months, and they didn't give a flip. I didn't benefit at all. So, why should I keep busting my ass?
It lined your boss's pockets.
Right.
Is what happened.
Yeah. And it made someone look good. I didn't benefit at all from it. I had to put myself in for an award for that. And at the end of the day, I got $50 after taxes. Great.
For saving $1 million.
Super motivating. Let me dive into the next assignment for you.
Yeah. It's something I struggle with so frequently. I see it in so many capacities. It's that lookup concept you were talking about earlier, where someone's trying to position themselves as doing the right things of making their boss's boss happy, to try to get that next rung on the ladder. But at what expense?
Yeah.
What is the expense of that? Oftentimes, I mean, it's really easy to forecast. You lose your innovators, because if an innovator's not empowered to innovate, guess what? They're going to go innovate somewhere else.
That's right.
Because that's what drives them. They want to be an innovator. So you're going to lose them in the first place.
They don't want to be a number.
Yeah, exactly. They want to be empowered to do something they care about, which is clearly what.
And they should win.
Yeah.
If they're great at what they do,
right.
That's why with the NFL or the sports world, they can do something that very few human beings on this planet can do.
Right.
And they are putting their bodies up on the line.
Yeah.
Pay them.
Yeah.
You're making billions.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yep.
Which is good. I mean, I think it's good that the players make as much as they did. They didn't always.
And talk about an example of exactly what you were just saying about the people on the ground make the product. Nobody's going to watch Jerry Jones do a press conference. People are going to watch Jordan Love lower his head like he did yesterday and get that first down and put his entire body at risk.
Watching Micah Parsons. I mean, and again, obviously a Packer fan, just overwhelmed with excitement.
Yeah.
Just flashbacks to Reggie White and Brett Favre. And I just, oh my God, this is great. And, we've always, I think Packer fans have always hungered for that splash. Like, where's our splash? About when the Niners signed McCaffrey, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a boost, right? And, you see these big signings, like, when are we going to have that big Reggie White signing again? And so, but to watch at the game last night, to see what Micah Parsons, apart from what he does individually, you can tell he has lifted,
energized
everybody, not just the defense. Like you could say, like the motor on that guy, like the absolute tenacity, and it's infectious, right? And I'm like, gosh, like how do you put a number on that?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. How do you quantify it? Absolutely. And I mean, that's to circle it in. That's I struggle with that a lot. When I see ineffective leadership that is climbing the rungs, but in reality, it's so inefficient, and it's doing more demoralizing than it is improvement of the scenario.
True leaders find out real early they want to be quieted. If someone's really trying to lead, there's usually going to be a lot of people squawking at them to toe the line.
Okay, yeah.
To not think outside, to not make waves.
Sure.
And a leader needs to make waves. Not always. I mean, that's not always. You don't make waves just to make waves.
Well, with leadership comes hard decisions, and that makes waves regardless of which side you pick. Yeah, the right one or the wrong one's going to make waves.
You're never going to please everyone.
Yeah.
And again, as a leader, you don't always know that you're making the right choice.
Yeah.
I've made so many choices. I told my people, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I go, let's go this way. And that's what, to answer your earlier question, I mean, that's what I believe in decisiveness. The worst decision is indecision.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
George Patton, a good plan executed now is better than a perfect plan next week.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, and this is part of my ADHD, I think in my ADHD brain, like I get to a point, if there's a video out there like Leroy Jenkins, I don't know if you've ever seen the video.
Oh, I know Leroy Jenkins.
So funny, but they're all talking. It's a silly World of Warcraft game. And they're talking, they're planning.
So
and then they're like, all right, guys, Leroy Jenkins. He just runs in the room. And I get that way. Like, we can talk about this and plan it. Like, let's just get in there.
Yeah.
Let's just mix it up. Let's see what are we dealing with? I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's get our hands dirty. And so I get to a point where I just can't talk anymore. Like, we got to do. Like, you know what? I don't know. We're going to go that direction.
Yeah.
Let's go that direction. Let's see if we get knocked on our ass.
Yeah.
And if we get knocked on our ass, we'll dust ourselves off, learn from it, and pick a different direction. And I really believe in that. And I believe leadership is more art than science.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And
because each situation is unique. Yeah.
And again, it's like there's so many great principles of leadership, right? You can read. There's tons. I love Sun Tzu's principles of leadership. There's so many great principles, and it's like there's so many great paint strokes. There's so many good techniques to be a musician. So many good techniques.
Yeah.
That's not what makes them a musician.
Nope.
There's an art. They see something. They feel something. Their music or their art comes from someplace you can't define. And I believe that's true for good leadership too. It comes from a place within the person that you can by adding technique and adding different strokes and increasing their tool bag, you will make a leader more effective and more powerful. But at the end of the day, it's ultimately an art. The ability to vision cast, to see kind of forward, to make those decisions, to be able to take it. There's something internal in that person that you cannot just replicate. It's not something you can teach.
Yeah. The stuff that had you identify the procedural thing that was wrong and the gall to move forward with that stuff can't be taught.
No.
You can't, like, I have a master's degree in leadership. I go in tomorrow and get a job and I start looking up two bosses and I'm not making these hard decisions. It doesn't matter. All the damn leadership principles I know,
right?
None of them matter.
Nope.
Because you're not executing in a way that matters and is going to be effective.
And I do think, I think really strong leaders are courageous.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. You have to be.
You have to be. You got to be, because the other thing is you got to be willing to look down the barrel of a gun, making a decision that you very well know could be wrong.
Yeah.
And even like in combat, you could be making a decision that kills people.
Yeah.
You still got to make a decision. You can't not make a choice. Mm-hmm. So to be able to and own that, you carry that. That's on your shoulders. And that's the way I feel like with whether it was the people in the helicopter or with my team, I'm responsible for them. Mm-hmm. Their livelihoods, the paychecks they get, feeds their families, and they have dreams too. How do I help them achieve their dreams? Like, if I'm really a leader, if I really care about them, it's not just about, okay, making sure they got a paycheck. Mm-hmm. Are you happy with what you're doing? Where are you at in your family life? Do you need time off? And I tell my team all the time, I can't know what's inside of you all the time. Like, I need you to communicate with me. Mm-hmm. If you're burnt out, you need to go, tell me, and you're going off the map. Like, mm-hmm. We'll figure it out. But I do need that communication back and forth. But it's that true desire to really care about the human beings that you leave, and had the courage to bear it. Like, my decision could really screw these people over.
Yeah. I
don't know it's the right decision. I'm doing what I think is best, and I'll stand tall, whether it's the right decision or the wrong decision. I'll live or die by it. And if I'm wrong, I will admit I'm wrong. And there's consequences, and we got to deal with those consequences. Mm-hmm. But I honestly believe the spirit of, if you're trying to do the right thing, you really truly are trying to do what's right by everybody. You're going to make mistakes, but at the end of the day, your heart, your spirit always goes before you. Mm-hmm. It always comes after you. And even if people get burned by you trying to make a decision, you're really trying to help people. I think maybe not in the moment, but I think years later down the road, they go, okay, I was trying, man. I really was trying. I wasn't trying to hurt you or hurt whatever. Or I was in a really bad spot and I did make a bad decision, and that's on me, and I'm really sorry how it affected you. But I mean, we're still human. Mm-hmm. We're all going to make mistakes.
Yeah, that's so good. I haven't had a fun leadership conversation in a while. That's fun. I was looking forward to that for a long time. I got a fun question out of that, though, to kind of change gears a little bit. One that I've been waiting to ask you for the podcast. I thought about this. You gave me the opportunity to do some really fun marketing work for you, and talking about your kind of, I'm ready to dive into the weeds and do stuff. How hard was the 30 days for you that I asked for to like unveil the plan? was it hard to wait to see what it was?
No, you know what? So this is, and again, I think the way one of the things I learned in the military, and I love this, and this is, I try to hire people who are fire and forget. So a fire and forget munition is one where it gets locked. As soon as you deploy the weapon, you go the other direction. You don't ever have to track what that weapon's doing.
Got it. What we were just talking about.
Yep, that weapon's going to go do its job.
Okay,
and you can trust that that weapon's going to go do its job.
Got it. Okay.
So that's what I look for. In all my people, I want fire and forget weapons. I want people that I give a task, they go, I go, okay, we talk when will I know the return, or when are we going to give me the feedback from the mission that you just went on? Great.
Interesting way to look at it. That's cool.
So it's very fire. So like when you came on to help us out in the consulting role, it's like, okay, you know what we're trying to do. Mm-hmm. I don't know shit about marketing. Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about social media. I don't know anything about starting a beverage company. I don't know anything about any of this, right? None of it. So I need people that do know something about it that I can trust. So then for me, and I'm going to make a lot of wrong decisions on this, but what I'm looking for is people I resonate with. In this case, our relationship's a good example. I resonate with your energy. I resonate with the relationship piece. There's a trust that I gained from you very early. Like, okay, this guy's, he gets it. And I have a certain faith. Now, I could be wrong. I only met you. You could have a really good facade. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I choose to trust you 100%. And that's one of the things I think as a leader, I always would tell my people this, like when you're a new leader coming in to lead a new group of people, right? So many leaders make the mistake of thinking their authority, their rank or the title is their authority. No. That's not your authority. You do get some authority from that. That's not what you lead with.
It's the thing before you and after you. You were just talking about a couple minutes ago.
That's
you
right.
Lead with your spirit. Yeah.
You have to, but these people don't know you, that you're leading. It's your responsible. I really want leaders to hear this. It is your responsibility to earn their trust.
Yeah.
None of them should give it to you automatically.
Yeah.
And nor should you expect it.
If you do, you get a yes man.
You get a yes man. You don't build a team. Right? There's no comfort level. You got to go. And I would say this, like, I want everyone on my team, I want you to hear me. I trust each and every one of you 100%. Any one of you can burn me completely. And if you want to, you can. I will adjust. Yeah. And there will be consequences accordingly. But I am putting all my trust in you. It is up to you to keep that trust.
Be a good steward of it. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you don't, then we'll make moves and we'll change things. But I don't expect any of you to trust me. I don't want you to trust me right now. I will earn your trust through my actions, through my decisions, through backing up, by doing what I say I will do, by showing you that and that is something that's so reversed and done so wrong in most leadership circles. They just go in with their title, CEO or general or whatever else, just start throwing the weight of that around, thinking that's leadership. Yeah. That's not leadership. You got to earn your trust. I don't care if you're a 4-star general. I don't care if you're president of the United States. I don't care. Mm-hmm. You got to earn your people's trust.
I worked in a scenario one time that brings something, a really vivid example to me. I worked in a scenario one time, I won't say where, but the ultimate person who ran the office that I was working in was really beating around the bush to tell me that he gave another person in the office an elevated title. He didn't change their role whatsoever. Yeah. But he thought giving them a title was going to upset me because I did a lot there. Like it was that scenario where I was doing a lot of things and I was getting rewarded with more work. And he thought that, and I was like, okay, person, I could give a shit less about a title. Yep. Let's talk about this in 8 months or 6 months when my performance review comes up, and let's talk about how my workload is adjusted, but my compensation isn't. Right. I don't care what my title is. Exactly. I know what I do here. I know what my value is, and I've never forgot that. I've thought about it on and off sometimes about like he was so worried to tell me, and he was not always the best at confrontation anyway.
Right. And that's a lot of people that are
Yeah.
put in management positions or leadership positions, they hate confrontation.
Exactly.
They will avoid, and being a leader is to confront.
early and often. With him, he was the guy that would let it build up until it exploded.
Yep.
And I'm like, whatever, man. I don't care about the title. Like,
Right.
tell me this. Tell me. Let's strategize together. Let's build this thing, and let's talk about what true value is. Alternative perceived value.
Yeah.
Like that word on that thing doesn't mean a damn thing.
No, and I hate titles. That's why maybe my title for Karouser, I'm
Commander in Reef.
I mean, titles are. And again, they're important. They are important for hierarchy and understanding how information flows and communication flows and all that sort of stuff. So they have value, but so many people chase titles too. I'm the CEO. That's great. Whatever.
Well, if that's what your aim for, if your aim is to be the CEO, if that's your goal, and there's nothing else that comes along with it, you'll get to be CEO for about 2 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Or you're really not.
Else.
I mean, you're a CEO in title only.
Right.
Then that's what a lot of people are. They're whatever they are in title
The
only.
figurehead.
Yep.
Yeah.
And to go back to your question about the 30 days, that's why, I had made it through our interactions, I had made a determination that I could trust you, that you were trustworthy. And I'm just going to let you be a professional. I don't know what you need. I don't know anything about what you do. I need you to tell me what to do. And that's essentially why you're coming on board. So you tell me how long it's going to take. So where for me, kind of the trust but verify, I ask you, okay, so how long do you need? And you said, okay, I'll need this amount of time. And so until we get past that amount of time and there's no result or there's no feedback or I feel like things aren't happening, I'm off doing other things.
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking about whatever it is you're working on.
I felt your full faith in it. I was wondering in that scenario. I always think about, and maybe it's my internal impatience come out. I get excited doing a project like that. I'm ready to get this going, but it takes time to make everything come to life, And it's probably my internal thing coming out. But I'm like, boy, if I was in those shoes, I'd be impatient right now. I just want to get this thing moving and going. But I want to make sure we get some of that talk in today because ultimately that's how we came together, right? With the brand Karouser. Everything you stand for and why you started the company, about low milligram, microdose, specifically for me, obviously what resonates is alcohol replacement.
Right.
You're doing some innovative things in a fledgling but about to boom space. It has to be so exciting. I don't know. That's not leading into a question, but it's just you have to be having fun, man. Finally, you have another successful business. For everybody that doesn't know, you have another successful business that does great. This is where you've chosen to put your passion. These are your proverbial these are your passion chips going to the center. Yeah. I envy that jump to just say, okay, we're taking a dive into this thing. It's got to be fun, man.
Yeah, it's a combination of adrenaline and terror.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly,
yeah.
And the passion part of it, because it is something I vehemently. I mean, it's every part of my being knows this is a better way than alcohol. And I quit drinking in 2023. Without going into too many details. I mean, alcohol almost destroyed my family. And again, without going into the details there. So it's just, but in 2023, I knew. For years, I've been like, man, I got to stop. But I'm a Wisconsinite. I grew up Southern Wisconsin. You start drinking at 14, right? And day drinking. Now, I know the newer generations have grown up more smart than we grew up in the way we handled business. But
the way we handled business,
it was to self-medicate, right? Yeah. I mean, it was, and I mean, that was a way of life. Day drinking is a way of life, But I do enjoy. But it's not all bad, right? I mean, the idea of just being able to grab a couple cases and go be on a boat, or go be on a beach, or go be on a golf course, and just hang out or watch sports all day, and just be kicking them back and hanging out, and it's just, again, I think part of what makes, going to Lambeau Field so special, and other teams come in and are like, what are you guys, you're so nice to us. Why, hey man, we're just, really the true heart of it is just, hey, we're all in this life together. Let's have some fun. Let's kick back. Let's relax. Let's drink some beers and we're going to be good, and I love that. And so when I quit drinking, one, I hate being a sober guy around everyone else who's drunk. No, I don't think anyone likes that.
Yeah, drunk people are annoying.
They are so annoying. I was one of the most annoying. And I was like, I gotta have something else that allows me to socialize, and to still day drink and hang out and have, I don't want to lose that aspect, but I can't do alcohol anymore. I cannot. I am done, hard done with alcohol. And I just turned 50, and as we get older, we don't metabolize alcohol. It's harder, as we all know, the hangovers. You just don't bounce back like you did when you're 20, 21, 18. And so marijuana has always, I didn't do marijuana in high school. I was in the military for 15 years, never did marijuana then. Got out of the military, tried it for the first couple times, hated all of my experiences. I hate being stoned. I've only had maybe like one positive or two positive stoned experiences that I really could say, okay, I kind of enjoyed that. And I was in my experimentation phase, I was trying to roll a joint, and it took me an hour, and this sad, pathetic excuse for whatever.
It's a hard thing to do.
It was terrible. I got like one little hit, tiny little hit off it. But it gave me this really mellow buzz. And at this point, I was at the point where I was like, I'm done with marijuana. This is my last kind of attempt to play with it. And this is many years ago. This is before I stopped drinking. And I got this gentle, mellow buzz. And I was so, it's like, oh, I feel calm. I kind of feel happy. Like, okay, now if this is marijuana, I can get on board with this. But how do I do this? Because I've done it many times, and I've only experienced it this one little time. And so, but that thought was always in the back of my mind. Like, I wonder how I could replicate that. And then, fast forward to, now gummies, now things are more legal. There's gummies out there now that it wasn't as big a deal back when I was first experimenting. So then I started saying, okay, I'm not drinking anymore. There were some gummies that if I broke it in half, it was a 5 milligram gummy. If I cut it in half, okay, maybe I'm okay. So then I started melting them down and making beverages, and I started doing microdosing. At the time, I didn't know what that was.
Which is a hilarious thing to start doing. I think it's so cool. Like, I'm just going to cut this in half, melt it down, put it in a drink.
And really, it started, truly, September of 23. So I quit drinking in September, officially stopped, drinking alcohol in September of 23. At that time, we're going to a Packer game. I was taking my team to a Packer game. And, everyone likes to drink and day drink. And it was a Thursday night football game against the Lions, which did not have the result we had last night, which was a brutal game, unfortunately. But I had brought all these growlers I had made of my own, and it was 2 milligrams per 12 ounces drink. And I drank that all 3 days. That's all I drank. We'd be up at 10 in the morning. They would be, starting with Bloody Marys, just like I always used to, and then go into whatever, day drinking, lane they're going to choose. And I'm just drinking my 2 milligram drinks. And I got to a slightly buzzed, slightly high state, and I just leveled off. I could drink till 3 in the morning, and I would be about the same place. I was not sober, but I was totally in control. I remember everything. And I wake up in the morning. I was the last man standing. I wake up in the morning. I have no hangover. I'm like, oh, I'm not dehydrated. Maybe there's something here. And based on what alcohol had done to my family, what it was doing to me physically, I was like, this is really not healthy. This is really, I think the veil is really starting to come off alcohol a lot more. It is. Yeah. It's really nasty. Like what it does to humans and how it really kicks down the door of your body. Like it is not playing with your system nicely in any form or fashion. It is just kicking the frickin' door down and is doing whatever the hell it wants. And you were starting to realize, and I didn't realize how toxic, and it doesn't last very long, but when the body processes alcohol, it creates some really toxic, a very, very toxic element. And it doesn't last very long in the system. It converts to something else, but it's a very strong carcinogen. And so it's like, and you start realizing how bad this is. And now, okay, well, the body actually has an endocannabinoid system. Your body produces cannabinoids. It has receptors designed to receive cannabinoids. This is coming out of a plant. Our body produces it. And it's like, okay, well, maybe this is a gentler substance. It may be a healthier substance. And we're finding out so many different medical benefits. I have a son has very high special needs. He has seizures. Epilepsy is one of his conditions. He's a genetic disorder, and they're never going to fix him. He has these seizures, and we couldn't control him until we did medical marijuana. Then we were able to get him under control. Pharma, he still does some pharma stuff, but at the end of the day, even with maxed out pharma, we were not controlling his seizures. But we started doing medical marijuana, and we started to get some control of his seizures. Okay, there's something there, and we're starting to realize there's a lot of really powerful attributes, and we don't understand. This plant is so complex. But yeah, and that's where the microdosing, so that's where the whole idea of this company came about, was from that experience. I'm like, gosh, how much better would the world be? I just think about almost every of my major regrets in my life revolve around me being drunk. I drank too much alcohol. Almost every single one of my biggest life regrets revolves around that. Like, now you think about the drunk driving, you think about all the fights at sporting events, or, all these, because you get drunk and how people get, and you think about the decisions, like, it's a completely different experience when you're doing THC. And especially at the microdose level, because again, you're always in control. You're not stoned. You're not, whoa, where am I? You're paranoid. Well, with this stuff, that doesn't exist, because the body's processing it so quickly with the emulsion we're using. And you just stay. You can pick the high that you want, and you can just stay there for hour and hour and hour on end. You stop drinking an hour and a half to, depending on how long you've been drinking, in a couple hours, you don't feel it anymore. You're back to normal. And that's what I love about it. There's no hangover. That's one of the many things I love about it. But the world would be such a healthier place if today everyone stopped drinking alcohol, but they still wanted to drink. They stopped drinking alcohol and they just started drinking products like this. The world undoubtedly would be a better place.
I 100% agree, right? And that's not even getting into, like, that is literally just alcohol versus a THC
Correct.
beverage. That's not even talking about vitamins, no calories.
Right.
The other things.
The electrolytes that we put in here.
The electrolytes, yeah.
So we're trying to replenish the system, trying to build the system up as we're enjoying socially.
Right. Instead of creating a poison and dumping
That's leaching your system of nutrients and vitamins and everything else.
Exactly.
No, we're trying to pump them back into you.
Yeah. Like, that's the fun part about it, right? That's what brings the passion. Learning about that stuff had to be like that's fun for you guys.
Yeah,
like
honestly, the creative, the artist, the art side of me, I love our cans, the design. We have a phenomenal Adam Turner. I'll throw his name out there. You can find him on Adam Turner Visuals. Amazing talent. And what I love about him, so talking about, being a leader and making some bold choices, like he is in a very successful graphic design, space, but he's like, I want to be an artist. And so he made the leap. He's trying to be a full-time painter, and that's not an easy way to make a living. Mm-hmm. But he's really going after it. And he's starting to gain some traction. He's a very talented individual. Sculpting. He's won championships for snow sculpting. Like at Breckenridge, Colorado, his team won gold medal. He's really cool, really talented cat. I love. He's designed these, and we've worked together, we've collaborated together to design these and making the flavors. And there's so much to learn, right? Because I don't know anything about marketing. Now, I did a lot of home brewing. I love cooking. So, making stuff taste good, that's kind of my art. So that part of it I'm good with. But, there's still a process, to brew things, the pasteurization, when you put in the flavoring, everything you're doing, how you're creating the flavors, where you're sourcing things. The canning machine, which has been the canning machine is a nightmare. It's just there's so many moving pieces and parts in that damn thing, and it's a lot to keep it dialed in. And we're learning all this stuff. So there's a process of trial and error that you learn on all this stuff. And then again, the marketing thing, the social media thing. Now I think I have a great product. I've made it look good. I've made it taste good. It does the things I say it's going to do. We're getting some really good feedback. Now, how do I? But really, this market doesn't exist. Because, see, I'm not making this drink for weed, people that are into weed. That's not what this drink is designed for. I'm going after the 80% of the population that probably has no interest in weed. They probably had a bad experience with it, wrote it off, or it's been illegal. This is all, federally legal. It's from hemp. It's not from marijuana. It's a whole nother conversation. There's so much confusion about marijuana, cannabis, because of this. And it is very complicated. Mm-hmm. But they've written it off. And so I'm going after the 80% of the population that right now really maybe isn't as curious or doesn't really care, is already written THC off, that's who I'm after. Because I want to replace Miller Lite, Bud Light, Trulies, White Claws. That's why. So we've made it affordable. You can buy a 12-pack for $18. But we're creating a market that truly doesn't exist right now. There are people that are big into THC because they were always into THC before. And if you look, most of the cans are 10 milligrams and up. Now, there are some other niche ones that are smaller, but it's craft and they're really expensive. You can't day drink with a $40 a 4-pack or whatever the hell it is. You know, so
That's wild. There's so many of those.
I know. You showed me that one site, and it's like, yeah, dude, this is $60 for a 6-pack, man.
Yeah, I know.
Why would I? I'm not day drinking at $60 a 6-pack. That's just not going to happen. And so that's what we're trying to make this. And there's no one in America that's doing this right now. I know this is a $1 billion company. I don't know that we're going to be that $1 billion company, but this idea is a $1 billion idea. But what I have to keep reminding myself of is enjoy the adventure. It's really not about the destination at the end of the day. Because you can maybe achieve your destination, but what did you leave behind you?
Yeah.
If you left nothing but burned villages and, just devastated mountainside behind you, then you didn't. It doesn't matter where you got. It doesn't matter what you achieved. It wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
The journey of, the team that I got, Jill's amazing, and Kyle and Jack, who is our master brewer, and Mike, who helps me with operations and what we're learning and how much they're putting in and how much that's what matters. And right now, our sales, we're not, because we're going into a new market. So it's not like, we're not dropping 100,000 12-packs a month. That's not what we're selling right now. We're trying to get our name out there, and it's really one customer at a time. Well, how do you keep spending the money? How do you keep putting the work in when you're not getting the result? And that's the terror part of it, is like, I believe we got something. I really, truly do. I believe in this. And whether or not it ends up taking off, and we end up being big, I'm always going to make this. If only for myself. I will be drinking this for the rest of my life. And that's the other thing. I love that I'm selling something that, no, I'm in. This is all I drink. We played golf. I just was in Kauai. I played 36 holes of golf. I shot an 82. I was drinking Karousers, 2 milligrams, I probably had, I don't know, maybe 10 drinks, each 18, something around that, somewhere in that area. I shot an 82 the first round. I shot an 86 the second round.
You were in Kauai?
Kauai, Hawaii, yeah.
Oh.
For my 50th. Yeah. So, but I was carousing
I don't know why
the whole time.
I don't know why, but I knew you were in Hawaii, but for some reason I didn't know Kauai was in Hawaii. I feel silly.
It's just a different island.
Yeah.
Which it turns out I'd never been there before. It's my favorite island. It's an amazing island. It's beautiful. It's peaceful. We golfed the Prince Mackay golf course. Just gorgeous overlooking the ocean. It's amazing golf course. But again, if I had been drinking light beers, just Michelob Ultras, which is what I would have been drinking otherwise, after 18 holes, I'm lucky to get through, where I'm at in 18. Now, I couldn't have done 36.
Yeah, you did 36. Yeah,
36
36 at the end of a day of Michelob Ultras would have been wild.
Yeah. And my brothers-in-law, they did a little bit of that, which is why I whooped their ass every round.
Yeah, I was gonna joke about that. I was gonna joke about that earlier when you said you were probably still that guy this morning. There was probably still a couple people in the Airbnb house that woke up a little squinty-eyed and a little pounding head.
Yep.
And you were probably up, a little tired because it was late night.
We stayed out late, right?
But yeah, not hungover and
don't have the cold sweats.
Yeah.
Not worrying about am I going to throw up? I remember everything.
Yeah.
There's no do I need to apologize? Ooh,
Right.
maybe I should apologize for that. Did I say that?
Yeah.
None of that. None of that exists here. And it's funny because even my family too. It's like I can have had a couple savvies, the 1 milligrams or whatever, and they have no idea. Mm-hmm. But you knew if I had 3 beers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
They can tell. Yeah. Or like if you had a 5 milligram gummy or a 10 milligram gummy and you're around your wife and kid.
Yep.
You're not you.
Yep. Yeah.
But you can drink the 1, the 2s, and even the 3s, and you can stay you. Mm-hmm. And you can stay present but you can still take, and you can take the edge off. And if something comes up, you can stop drinking, and it's good. You're going to come right back down. That's the beauty of the nanotech of that is in our THC. It's such small molecules, the body processes it really quick. It's not like eating a gummy where it just takes hours and hours. So once that train leaves the station, you got to run its course. You don't know how long that train's going to take. This, you know how long the train's going to take. It's going to be, it's very repeatable. It's always the same. There's never a surprise. It's always the exact same.
And you get to be the conductor, man.
I do. So now it's just a matter, like I said, now it's just a matter of getting people to understand that this is a lifestyle alternative that's available to them, getting them to, and you think about, we've been drinking, again, since we were teenagers, right? You know what tequila is going to do to you. You know what bourbon's going to do to you. You know what vodka's going to do to you. You know how many beers, how many glasses of wine, because you've been drinking it your whole life. This, I think, part of what people are a little bit nervous about is they haven't drank this before. So they don't know. That's why we do the 1, 2, 3. Start with 1 milligram. I promise you, you are not going off the rails on 1 milligram. Drink them. Drink 6. Drink 8. Drink 10. See how you feel. You're going to be in control the whole time. Oh, that I didn't really feel much. Fine. Okay, now drink the 2. Drink the 3, and you can mix and match them and all. And so, but people need to get that. They need to start trying it and getting that familiarity and that comfort level. And that's part of it, is getting people to say, okay, I'm willing to try this now, even though I swore off THC because I had such a bad experience in college or wherever. And seeing, okay, how do I respond to this? And again, it's inexpensive. So you're not risking financially, you're not making a big investment. It's $18 for 12. You can buy it truly for more, than what we're selling this for. And you just, try it. And then over time you figure out, now, like right now, I know, like really, I thought the Savvy was my line. I really Sloop is the 2 milligram. I'm really digging that is really my speed. And if I want to go up, then I go to the 3. We do have 10s and 25s, but you can break those down. So what I'll do is if I really want more, I'll take a 10 and I'll mix it with a 1. And now I got, 5.5 milligrams per drink. And so, and I can come back down. I can go up, I can come back down. It's just a matter of getting people willing to try that and to learn, okay, what's your drink? Okay, I know a gin and tonic will do this if I have 3 of them. Okay, if I have 3 Sloops at 2 milligrams, then I go to a Savvy. Again, you can truly, create your own adventure, if you will. And it's a super controlled. You never have to worry about, like with alcohol, where's that magic drink? Oh, I shouldn't have had that 6th one. Because that 6th one turned me into 10
we
or
all
12.
heard that back in the drinking days. Yeah. My best friend still has funny stories about how he would wait till I had drank a certain amount of beers.
Yep.
And that's when he would buy me a Jack Daniels.
That's right. And that's going to put you over the line. And it's going to be a fun night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Until you don't remember anything.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Certainly don't miss it, my friend.
No. I should have quit. It was on my heart to quit a lot earlier than I did. I should have. It would have been better for my family. Certainly would have been better for me. I don't miss it. I'll still have there's certain, and that's the other thing. I think that's part. There is a value to the social component of alcohol.
Oh yeah, 100%.
The feeling of getting a martini in the glass that it's in and how that is. Or
how many people are married
margarita
today because they had an alcoholic beverage at one point or another, right?
Yeah, because
talk to somebody.
Yeah, you just frees you up a little bit more. It is a swing lube, kind of a thing. And but that whole thing, the process of making an old fashioned, it's just there is a social, and we are trying. I mean, that's when we have our concoctions, and that's what we're trying to make our lines about too. Is that you can kind of do some mixology. You can make a Karouser. You want a margarita? You want that same experience? You can do that with this and with THC.
The new cart coolers, man.
The new cart cooler essentially is a takeoff on Arnold Palmer, right? Yep. But this is really cool because it's using guayusa for its tea flavor, which is has nootropic, has caffeine. And so it's a mood enhancer. It's known, the studies have proven that it increases your focus. It's better energy for you. It's still caffeine, but it's a healthier. You don't get the jitters. You don't get the negative side effects. Like they've done studies with professional gamers where they're like hand-eye coordination increases 15 to 18%. I mean, some crazy stuff. Like and that's what's in this. It's not just tea. It's actually giving you something back, and it's at 2 milligrams. And this is my new favorite drink. I prefer still drinks. This one has no carbonation, because you don't get as bloated, which I like too. And that's what I love. I know that what we're putting out there can really help people. It can really help people that are maybe struggling with alcohol. They need to get a break. they need to break away from it, or they just want to engage different socially. Women, especially as women age, alcohol is really, really rough on them. That's why Savvy exists. The whole Savvy line is designed for women because it is so difficult. As we all age, we don't metabolize alcohol as well, and it's rougher on our systems. So that's why these lines are designed. And I know from a flavor aspect and the things that we're trying to put back into it, again, it's all about having, a positive experience, to be uplifted, mood enhanced, kind of take the edge off, but not lose who you are and not lose control.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't lose who you are, my friend. Keep leading, keep forging along. I'm excited to come along for the ride, and it was great having the chat, man. I appreciate you coming on. It was good to keep on deepening. So I appreciate you sharing some of your story with us.
Absolutely, and thank you, man. I mean, this has been a great getting to know you and what you've done for us and what you continue to do for us. We'll see. We don't know where it's going to end, but just enjoying the walk with you, man.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dan.